Hey there guys, my name's Tyler, one of the creators behind the Kingdoms trading card game. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. This video is going to be another commentary on some gameplay, and I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So in this video, it is myself playing against Joe on the left, myself on the right. I am playing with a neutral build that I've built. This is the second time that I've played with this deck at the recording of this video. And then Joe is playing with a Estercrest Silvermoore build. It's the same exact build that was in the last gameplay video that you saw between us. There hasn't been any change to it. It's still kind of a combination. It was kind of a quick combination of both of the kingdoms. So really curious to see, what can be changed, what can be put to the deck to help it make better, help it to flow better, what can help make it better. Jeez, if I can say that enough times. Anyways, in trying to make his deck, though, I remember when helping him make the deck at first, or at least attempting to make the deck, I did realize, just how specific we made creating all the cards for the Tannis Kingdoms. And so going into the next subset and set 3 definitely has shown us what we need to do to change when it comes to making cards for the Tannis Spirit that aren't so specific. So he's still picking my first Sacred. With this build, I put Central Palace at phase 2, and Mountainside Citadel at phase 3 for the strategy that I'm running. So I open up with a Marketplace as my first Sacred. Marketplace has 1400 health total. Let's see, I just want to make sure that that's the case. And so looking at the hand, so yes, I do have 1400 health with that Marketplace. It's hard to remember all the cards. I do mulligan 3 cards, so that puts me at a total of 1100, already dropping me down a little bit, but I just needed a better hand setup in order to do that.
That FaceTime thing was pretty funny.
Curious what your guys' thoughts are on the mulligan policy, the mulligan rule for the Kingdoms trading card game. I really like the mulligan rule. I like that you do have the option of getting rid of some cards if you want. I think it's pretty nice. It allows you to set up your hand that you want. So my opening hand is pretty funny. I have an Apprentice and 3 Empowers, which give it a couple turns, I'll definitely be able to have quite a beefy card if I want.
You can look at your first Sacred. Okay. Yep, you're allowed to do that.
So Joe does open up with the Eastern Vantage Point. That was the card that I picked for him. Eastern Vantage Point. Let's see, it has 1400 health. I'm writing stuff down as I'm watching this video because I want to be able to, give you guys some visual during this, gameplay video, so that way maybe you can see the cards even better, because sometimes it's kind of hard to see, especially at this distance, or especially if you guys don't know the game really well. And even myself, even as someone that's made the game, I still don't remember all the cards, and that's going to continue to be the case as more and more cards come out. So my hand is set. Joe has mulligan some cards of his own. I did not see how many that he discarded, and then we're just going to roll to see who goes first. Really excited to see, as more cards start coming out, what other decks can be built. Right now it's very specific to the different spirits and stuff, so I really am happy that I have this neutral deck that I built. So Joe does open up with a 3 token, and then sending in an Apprentice to the graveyard, and then Estercrest Soldier. So definitely an amazing turn 1 to start out with. So now I take my turn. I just decided to draw 1 card, and then I lay down my own Apprentice, but because it only costs 2 Magicka, I'm able to play an Empower on it, making it a 500/500. So I'm able to dispose of that Estercrest Soldier and just clear the field right away. For this neutral build, I definitely need that if I want to have any chance of being able to, make any progress and potentially win against the deck that I'm playing against. Joe's got both spirits in his hand, which that's amazing. I'm surprised he hasn't played it sooner, but I know he is using it for a certain strategy. So he does play another Estercrest Soldier, which is quite annoying. But again, if you know what Sumiran does, which you'll most likely see in a second, he's just going to try bringing both back out. So I draw a card. I do lay my own 3 token as well. I send an abandoned army to the graveyard, and then because Estercrest Soldier does have defensive, I have to attack that card first. So he draws a card. He draws a recruitment card, or I forget what that card exactly is called. Yep, recruitment, pretty good card, but for right now, he has a different trick up his sleeve. He's looking at all the cards that he wants to play, though. Thankfully, that Eastern Vantage Point is really allowing him to get on into his fortress to see what he wants. So he does go for a Sumerian. Sumerian is a spirit that not only gives him 2 magicka per turn, but he brings out both of his Estercrest soldiers out because of that ability, that instant ability that Sumerian has. So pretty good. Joe's opening up to a very strong, couple first turns. So he does go ahead and play that recruitment card. Recruitment, you get to choose. You get to search your graveyard for a Tanos battle card, or search your fortress for a neutral battle card. So Joe does search for a tradesman, and which is pretty funny because tradesman has so much health. It's pretty crazy. And so for him to put that out in the field, that's just giving me more stuff that instead of being able to attack his sacred, now I have to worry about attacking that card, because it'll get to a point where if he plays an Empower on it or something, the card will get too big, especially once it gets defensive. I won't be able to do anything. So he completely destroys my sacred, and that puts me into the Central Palace.
Alright, so now the question is...
I do the 2 card draw effect because I really need to start getting into my fortress, because I have not done enough yet. I still don't have a lot for what I need to do. So I do play Magicka Orb. Now, if you were paying attention in one of my other videos, Magicka Orb is a card that will be coming out in the subset as a little sneak peek for you guys. And Magicka Orb is the perfect token to be running in this deck. So I do swing in with my apprentice to kill his Estercrest Soldier, and now Joe he has a lot of options for what he can do, and he's got a Gargath an Esbrook in his hand, which is his legend. He probably has enough Magicka to do that if he wants to. He does have it's hard kind of seeing, but he's got a lot of options for what he can do. He's definitely in the lead, I would say.
I attack with a card.
The thing that stinks for me is, without the Central Palace, I really would not have much momentum in doing anything that I need to do. And what kind of stinks right now is because I only have the 1 card out, Apprentice, Magicka Orb is only going to be giving me 2 Magicka for my next turn. But, I don't have many cards I can play, so it doesn't do anything.
Oh, no.
Wow. So Joe does bring out an Esbrook, and then he is able to bring out a Estercrest Soldier as well. So Joe is just in a domineering position. He's on a Sacred Phase 1 Legend, and so he's in a great position. Of course, once I get to Phase 3, it's opening up the door for better cards for me to play. So I had 2 Magicka off of that last turn, so from the Magicka Orb. So I'm sitting at 10 Magicka, so it's not a bad place to be right now.
Okay.
I do have 2 Empowers, I have an Apprentice, I have an Outpost Tower, I have a Voodoo Salesman, and so I think I'm going to try to do that Voodoo Salesman to see what effect I can do. Okay, so I do play an Apprentice, and then I lay down a Voodoo Salesman.
I want to play those 2.
So I show Joe the 2 cards I want to play. I want to play both of my Empowers, and I want to put them both onto my Apprentice to just give him incredible attack, which would put him at 900, which with the Voodoo Salesman and the Apprentice, with the Empowers, it would kill his Esbrook. And Joe does decide to send 2 cards to the graveyard, and he sends an Oola the Rebel to the graveyard. So that's a pretty big decision for him. And look at though, he's only got 1 card left in his hand, so that's pretty... that could come back to hurt him, because Tanos Kingdoms really struggle with card draw, so be curious to see what he's going to do. But I guess it works out because he does have Eastern Vantage Point, so he's able to see what he has.
I guess I'll go ahead and... Yeah, I'll trade with him, and then I'll hit you.
So unfortunately, I'm not able to swing at Esbrook, with all my attack, because I have to waste my Apprentice on the Estercrest Soldier. Excuse me. So I do decide to use the Voodoo Salesman to take 200 damage to Esbrook. At this point, I don't have any answers to do anything, so I can't afford to leave that card out on the field for very long. So I gotta see what I can do. But I got nothing in my graveyard that I can do. I got nothing in my hand, it looks like. I haven't got far into my deck, so I can't do much. Joe has a Charlotte, but he can't use it because he's got Sumerian on his graveyard, or on his Sacred. He does play a Frontline Warrior. Frontline Warrior is a better version Tulsa Guardsman. Now, one thing that I'm noticing is it is a slight misplay, but you know, it's no big deal. We still roll with it. Frontline Warrior is a phase 2, so he technically shouldn't have been able to play that card, but it's still okay. He's already in a pretty domineering position, so at this point it's not affecting the game too much, and it's not like this is a tournament where we're playing, you know, for like a little prize or anything, so it's alright. I do the Central Palace effect, so that does help Joe draw a card, but I need cards. I can't afford to just draw one card per turn. So I do play an Outpost Tower, giving me the chance to look at 2 cards, and I pick up an Ula and a Training Master. Definitely gonna keep that Ula because I need to send that Esbrook back to Joe's hand. Now Outpost Tower did cost 5, so I only have enough Magicka to play my Disciplined Soldier.
Yeah, offensive. Shoot, I thought.
So unfortunately, I have enough attack to destroy Frontline Warriors, but I can't kill that Esbrook, and that's what I want to. That's what I really want to kill, because that thing is going to be able to deal so much attack, and you know, in one swing, if he just gets one other battle card out in the field, he could totally wipe out my Sacred very quickly. So just trying to see what Joe is getting into his hand. Looks like he drew a Lost Traveler, so that could make me have to send some cards away. But he doesn't have any phase 2 cards. So actually he was kind of examining his hand, and using the Eastern Vantage Point, he decides just to send that card instead just to the bottom of his fortress and draw another card. You know, he's kind of in this weird phase though. He's in phase 1, so he can't play a lot of the cards that he has, but Joe's in a really good position. Sumerian giving him the 2 Magicka, the 3 token, and having a legend out there. It still has 600 health, but I mean, to have an 1100 attack, that's pretty good. Now, I do have 3 battle cards on the field, so that's pretty good. Magicka Orb is going to give me 6 Magicka starting right now. So going into the next turn, I'm going to have 14 Magicka. So you see I got a Ula, an Outpost, a Skilled Worker, so I could do quite a few things. So Joe decides to swing with Esbrook and just kill the Disciplined Soldier. Rightfully so. You know, you want to keep alive your legend as much as possible.
Okay, I will Central Palace. So you get to draw a card.
So I do Central Palace again, and because I need those 2 cards.
So I'm sitting at 14 for this turn.
So with the 14 Magicka, I have plenty of options. I could play both Ulas, but at that point it'd be kind of useless for me to do so. It'd be better if I saved it. So I do play an Ula, so now he's got to take his Esbrook and put it back in his hand, and then he needs one other card that he has to put back into his hand. So he's actually gonna have to take that token off the field as well.
If you do not have 2 cards to send back to your hand, minus 200 health to your Sacred for every card. Okay. Yeah. So you would. Wow. That hasn't happened yet. So your token would have to go back. Oh, it would. Yep. Dang.
Alright, so the Ula card definitely has put me in a good position, giving me an advantage, you know, by being able to just put me in a better board state than Joe. So I got rid of Sumerian, I kill his Sacred, and now he goes into the library. So it kind of worked out. That was my first time actually swinging in at his Sacred, but I was able to kill it. But now we open up to the library, and now he's going to be able to draw 10 cards, which really for any kingdom, that's what you need. but especially for any Tannis Kingdoms, they need card draw. So to be able to draw 10 cards, and you know, no matter what card you're going to get as a Tannis player, it's going to be a solid card. It's going to be a card that can fit for any situation. So he's just in a perfect place to be. But the one advantage that I do have is I have a lot of Magicka. And I do have a couple cards in my hand, and I do have a full board state, and I know for a fact that he doesn't have a board wipe of any type. So he has just the 5 base Magicka, so he's really got kind of a predicament on his hands. What he really needs to do is just kind of get his Magicka back up and running, and then you know, see what he can do. Now using skilled worker, I was able to get my sacred back up to, let's see, because I think he did swing in with an Esbrook. So I think I'm sitting somewhere around 13. I'm not entirely sure, but I know I'm at a comfortable health because of that skilled worker. Joe's got a lot of phase 3 cards in his hand. He's got a Ymir, a Zima, but other than that, he just can't really do anything. Thankfully, Mountain Yeti's a 5-drop, so he could do something with that. And then when Mountain Yeti goes to the graveyard, you know, he'd be able to draw a card. But really, what he needs to do is get that token out. You know, if I were him, I would almost consider just getting that token out. But I understand if you want to at least try to keep your sacred alive for at least one more turn. Because that's the thing, if you play too passively, then you'll just get smoked right out of the water way too fast. Joe's got a Silvermoore Gates in his hand. I think all Silvermoore players, all Tannis players really, I think they should run 3 copies of Silvermoore Gates. I think it's a really good card for only costing 7 Magicka. Sure, it doesn't have any attack, and 1400 maybe at the end of the day isn't a lot, but because it's so cheap, I think it's a wall card that you can't really afford to not play. So again, you're kind of seeing the difficulty in library being that now you get so many cards, so you would think that oldest card advantage would really be a good thing, but sometimes it can be really hard figuring out what you're gonna do. So sitting at 5 Magicka, Joe does decide to play a Mountain Yeti, but he didn't quite realize that, so he's actually gonna take that back. And again, this falls down to like what's agreed upon when you're playing a person. Are you guys allowing, you know, take backs to happen or what? So I'm sitting in a great position. I got 4 cards out in the field. Ula has 500 attack, outpost with 3, so I do have some considerable damage. And now I have 8 Magicka from the Magicka orb going into this current counter phase that I am in, and I'll be able to lay down any card that I have. So I think Joe's playing it smart. He lays down a secret and lays down his token. He's just going to have to take one bad turn, and then from there he'll definitely be able to do whatever he needs to do. And actually a very smart move for Joe. He lays down his 3 token, and then he sends a Time Scribe to the graveyard off of 3's effect. So definitely a smart move on his part. I do the Central Palace again, allowing Joe to draw an additional card. So I have a couple card draw cards in my hand. I have a Ula, but I need to save that. He hasn't played enough cards yet for it to really have any impact. So I do play an Outpost Tower, and then okay, so I do swing in for a complete blowout of the Sacred, and now he goes into a phase 3 Tannis' Dwelling Place, which is perfect for him. You know, I know I have said in maybe other videos where I don't know how effective a phase 3 strategy is, but I think if you can set yourself up just right, phase 3 maybe can work. Joe right now is sitting in a perfect position. Joe has Tannis' Dwelling Place as his revealed sacred. He does have a 3 token. He's got a secret out. He's got his Time Scribe in the graveyard, and he has a hand full of cards. I would love to be in Joe's position right now. Even though he's in phase 3, it definitely is a position where he can totally come back and do whatever he needs to do. Now, the thing that's difficult with my neutral deck, unfortunately, I don't have a legend. I don't have something that could get rid of some cards to allow me to maybe make a better move. You see, like, Outpost Tower, once it's done its thing, and same with Skilled Worker, and now they're kind of useless. But, you know, gotta figure out what you can do. So Joe does play a Silvermoore Gates. Great card, so cheap, and I'm really glad to see it being played. This card and Tumblegates are the two cards I really want to see played. I just don't see a lot of them, so I'm really excited to see that. And then off of the Silvermoore Gates, he does play a Moor Craftsman, giving Silvermoore Gates actually 100 attack, but plus 200 health as well. So definitely getting that cohesiveness going together. So Joe right now is kind of figuring out what he needs to do. The Silvermoore Gates will allow his cards to be a little bit cheaper. Let's see. I can't remember what all the cards do. So Tannis cards are going to cost -2 Magicka. So essentially, it's kind of a token the way it works. So he's really setting himself up for success. Doesn't have a lot of attack to work with, but does swing in. Wow. So he's going to lay down a Mountain Yeti as well. So this makes sense because, wow, that's so crazy. So Silvermoore Gates cost less because of Tannis' Dwelling Place. And then Silvermoore Gates and Tannis' Dwelling Place therefore make more craftsmen free. And Mountain Yeti only cost 1 Magicka. Totally crazy. So Joe, I believe, still has 2 Magicka left. But nonetheless, he swings in with Mountain Yeti and kills my Ula, opening up the field. So I have no heavy hitters left.
302 Sacred.
So he hits me for 3, I believe, putting me somewhere maybe around 1,000. I could be lower than that. And then he does lay down a Charlotte, which is the best spirit for Tannis that they have at the moment. And arguably, I almost think it's maybe the best spirit, in my opinion. So laying down a Ula the Rebel, sometimes people misplay this card in the sense of people that play Ula will sometimes think they get to choose the 2 cards, but it's the player gets to choose, the player that is getting Ula'd gets to choose the 2 cards that come back to their hand.
In my hand, but then I have it.
Yeah.
It's like Bar Bouncer, but not as bad.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But solid stats all.
So again, Ula is the only card that really helps my neutral deck do any good, but what kind of stinks in playing Ula is, you know, he's got Tannis' Dwelling Place and Silvermoore Gates, which basically make all of his Tannis cards, well, just all the cards super cheap. And so he's just going to be able to bring out more Craftsmen again, you know, really buff the health and the attack of a card. It's just crazy. And the effect that Tannis' Dwelling Place has, it makes it hard for me to do any attack. I don't have enough to kill Mountain Yeti. So pretty frustrating. So Joe does time scribe me and ends my attack phase completely. So he takes his turn, sends a secret to the field, and Joe just looking through all the cards that he wants to use.
Oh yeah, you're on Tannis. You can't draw until you have 4 cards.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
So Joe did mistakenly draw a card, which is totally fine. It's hard to remember the effect of a previous sacred like the library. That is a continual effect that remains the whole rest of the game. But Joe's got plenty of cards. He's got a rock mover. He's in phase 3, so any card is on the table. He has an Empower. He has a Restore. You know, he could play the Esbrook and just keep the health up super high. You know, even though I got a lot of cards, I really don't have much firepower. So any card that he has, like, it's gonna make it really difficult. And actually, Mountain Yeti, I have no way to get over it. Wow. So Joe does play a Zima the Jouster. I don't know how good it is, being that it's a phase 3, cost 8, but its effect is solid. And unfortunately, unless I'm able to get to my Mighty War Elephant, or I'm able to get a Discipline or a Veteran Soldier and a Power, there's no way for me to get over any of these cards. Or if I had no cards on the field and an Abandoned Army.
Okay, I will send.
Man, so he's just in a very controlling position. Right now, it doesn't look like there's a way that I could possibly win. I sent an abandoned army to the graveyard. I did do the Central Palace ability or the effect, so he did get to draw a card, which probably isn't helping me out much, but I need a card. I need to answer at this point. So I had 10 Magicka off of that last turn, so I need to get cards in my hand before I go into phase 3 because my Sacred's going to be dead any minute now. So I play a Messenger, which is going to allow me to draw 3 cards. And now here's an interesting thing. So your Sacred, if your Sacred dies, which usually only happens on your opponent's turn, does not get revealed till the beginning of your next draw phase. So Messenger has the effect where you get to draw 3 cards, but you have to deal 400 damage to your Sacred. So because of that, I now have killed my Sacred, but it's not the beginning of my draw phase. So for Joe's turn, he unfortunately can't attack my 3rd Sacred, but he still can attack my battle cards. That was the first time I've ever seen that happen. I thought it was kind of interesting, but it was okay. But for what I was doing, I needed cards in my hand, and I needed to set myself up for a good phase 3. But I am doing pretty good. I have 10 Magicka alone from Magicka Orb, and then plus 8 with my base Magicka that I'm starting out with, and my 3 tokens. So I have 18 Magicka that I can do stuff with, so I definitely could do some damage. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't look like I have a lot of cards in my hand.
I still have plus 10 Magicka, though, so that's kind of cool. I can't do anything.
I do attack his Silvermoore Gates, bringing the health down to 8. But Joe's in such a controlling position. All of his cards are costing less. He's got enough Magicka to do whatever he wants to do. He's got 2 Umirs in his hand. He's got the Long Swordsman. He's got a lot of options for what he can do. He could even start bullying me, use a rock mover or whatever, and make me really struggle. Really, it doesn't look like there's any way that I could win this game unless I was able just to get a good blow. But he's got so much, you know. I got like a little dinky pistol, and he's got a machine gun. If I take 1 shot, he'll fire 10 shots back at me. There's just nothing I can do. And that Zima the Jouster card is just going to keep making Silvermoore Gates even better. So unless I'm able to get some firepower out there, I'm not going to be able to do anything. And unfortunately, my 3rd Sacred will end up being Mountainside Citadel, which I think if it was Skylight Fountain, I might have had a better chance. Because then he would actually have to attack my battle cards, which because most of the Tannis battle cards have lower attack, you know, kind of similar, and they're equal to the health that my cards have, it would actually end up killing his cards. So it maybe could have worked to my advantage. But again, I'm trying my strategy that I have, which is to build up the health of my 3rd Sacred.
Oh, great.
So Joe does play a Long Swordsman, just making cards cost cheaper.
I have 3 left.
And he's got 1 Magicka. He's got 1 battle card slot left to use.
Tannis cards cost 6 left.
Wow. So he's got so much value going on right now, and he has enough to play Umir.
Oh, dang. I think I had to just kill
Wow.
all of you right
Even
now.
if I had a Ula, like, that wouldn't affect you at all.
I mean,
Umir is such a good card.
Yeah.
You know, being able to take a spell, which I think the excitement of his board state, I don't think he even looks for a card in his fortress. But Joe can kill any card that he wants to of mine.
Kill my whole world.
And again, it's because he can't attack my Sacred, so he can just do whatever he wants to do.
Long Swordsman.
Now he does have to be careful, because if he attacked with his Silvermoore Gates, his Silvermoore Gates would actually die, so he can't do that. So he completely wipes my board state. Silvermoore Gates gains 200 health because of Zima, so now I'm really hoping to do something good with my 3rd Sacred. Now, I do have 18 Magicka, so now it's a matter of, do I play this right?
No, I had 18. I'm at 18.
I have a Veteran Soldier. I got a Skilled Worker, so I could make my health pretty high. I have a Messenger. Let's see if I play this right. I don't have an Ula. I do have a 3rd Ula in there, though, but I don't know if I'd be able to get to him.
You will get the cards you want.
But that's what I need.
I will end up
So I do decide to play Messenger. So I do take 400 damage, but it ends up only being 300 damage because of Mountainside Citadel's effect. So I do get 3 cards. I did get a Ula. so that's huge. You know, I got a veteran soldier. The only problem is I can't get over the cards that he has. Umir has 800. Zima, I think, has 7. I do play an Ula, so that's gonna have to make him send 2. But he is at such an advantage at this point that, you know, making him take cards that he's laid down, put him back, it really has no effect on him. So I do play 2 copies of Training Master. And you know, giving Ula plus 200, so he's at 7.
Yeah. So 3.
And you have
That stinks. See, the thing that stinks is even if I was able to kill his Silvermoore Gates, you know, Joe would be able to kill my Ula, which would be the strongest card that I had, and it'd be the only card that would give me any chance of being able to kill his Umir and his Zima the Jouster.
5-3. I'll kill him.
So I do kill his Silvermoore Gates.
So I'll swing at you for 2.
And I swing him for 200 at his Sacred. So now at this point, I'm hoping, can I last long enough?
Yeah.
So Joe takes his turn, doesn't draw a card. He lays down a secret. He doesn't have Silvermoore Gates out, so his cards won't be cheaper. He does have Tannis' Dwelling Place though, so that will make some of his cards cost cheaper.
Yeah. I wonder if I would have played Skilled Worker.
And actually that ends up being the game because of doing the math. I only have 1100 health, and he has a Umir and Zima the Jouster, which will completely kill El Swingin with a total of 1600 damage. So that is the game. Thank you guys so much for watching this gameplay video with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, so that way, you know, you can keep in touch with the videos that are coming out. And I appreciate the comments and the feedback. It gives me ideas of what to do and what not to do for future videos. Check out the Facebook, the Instagram, and the website to see what's going on for the game, get updates, get rulings, you know, ideas, or, you know, different questions or polls that come out, just to get feedback for the game. And lastly, I do want to end this video by just saying that as a believer in Jesus Christ, I believe that God has made every single person in the image of Him, and He wants to have a personal relationship with every single person. And so if you're someone that doesn't have a relationship with Jesus Christ, I highly encourage you to really think about it. Maybe pray for the first time. Maybe read your Bible for the first time if you for some reason do have a Bible. There is a living God that has made this whole world, and yet He loves you, and He wants to have a relationship with you. And I think it'd be truly amazing if you had a relationship with Jesus Christ. Nonetheless, thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have an awesome rest of your night. Thanks. Awesome rest of your day, I should say. Thanks.